Hello and good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our version 4.5 Billing Enhancement webinar. My name is Jenny and I'm going to be your training host for today. I do have my colleague Zach on chat to answer any questions that you may have throughout the presentation. Before we get started, I would like to ask everyone to make sure that if you do have a microphone, that you mute them so as to not distract others during the webinar today. We will have time at the end to complete a Q&A session pertaining to our billing enhancements. All right, let's go ahead and get started. To start off, you're going to notice that the term insurers has been replaced with three-party payers throughout Blueprint. This is to accurately represent the various entities involved in healthcare payments. Our first enhancement we are going to cover is in regard to the clearinghouse integration. You can find this by going to your setup menu and going to the new category, electronic billing. Now, if you are on version 4.5 and do not see this category, it may have to do with the new privilege that we added, maintain electronic billing settings. If you have the owner role within Blueprint, you automatically have this new privilege. If you don't see it and would like it, you would need to speak to an administrator or an owner of the system to grant you access to this privilege. Now, for the clearinghouse integration, if you had an integration prior to the upgrade, you should not need to complete this step as your information should have transferred with the upgrade. However, if you are a clinic that is looking into setting up electronic billing throughout Blueprint, I would like to point out that there is a one-time setup fee of $199. If you ever want to or need to change your clearinghouse, there's not going to be a secondary fee from us. Now, once you enable your clearinghouse integration, you are going to enter in the clearinghouse company, and then you will enter in your SFTP username and password. Once you enter in your information, if the information is incorrect, once you hit Verify Configuration, you're going to receive an error message like this, giving you steps to let you know how you can correct this. So it's going to ask you to verify your SFTP username and password. And if it looks correct, you will need to reach out to your clearinghouse in order to obtain support with your username and password. Once the information is correct, once you hit Verify Configuration, you will receive a box like this letting you know that the SFTP connection was successful. Once you hit OK, make sure to hit your Save button right down here at the bottom to start billing electronically. With our new electronic billing category, there are going to be three new subcategories. There's going to be Hicka fields, ICD codes, and modifiers. So to start, we're going to be speaking about our Hicka field overrides. I'll just go ahead and delete this override field right here so I can show you how to do this. Users are going to be able to configure your Hicka override fields to populate with desired information that can be specific to third-party payers, providers, or both. To do this, we're going to go down and hit Create New. We have to select which field we are going to be overriding. So I feel like most clinics like to have 32A and 33A as the fields that are typically overridden. So we'll go ahead and do field 32A here. It's now going to ask us which third-party payers does this apply to. You can select one to multiple, or you can include all of your third-party payers. We'll go ahead and click OK, and now we have to select which location this pertains to. We can go ahead and click on Include All for this example. And strangely enough, we do have to pick which providers this applies to. So we can go ahead and include all for our example today. Now we need to enter in the value that is going to be overridden in this field. So we'll go ahead and put in a random number here and hit Create. Now that we have entered that in, we can test this later on in our webinar when we go to generate a Hicka. Our next subcategory are the ICD codes and the modifiers. Users are able to create and maintain ICD-10 codes and HCFA modifiers within these subcategories. Just a reminder, ICD codes are found within a patient's audiology tab when creating or editing an audiogram. You can find that right up here next to the provider and test method. Modifiers are going to be selected on the Prepare Claim panel, which will be shown just here in a few seconds when we generate our HCFA. Now, before we do move on to generating a HCFA, I did want to mention that our third-party payer IDs can now exceed our 5-character limit, allowing users to meet various payer requirements without a hassle. To have this enabled, please reach out to us at support@blueprintsolutions.us. So the next enhancement we are going to be covering is the generation of a HCFA form. As some may have noticed, when you right-click on your sale here, the how to generate a HCFA form is a bit different. You're still right-clicking on this patient sale and clicking the Prepare HCFA option from the drop-down menu. As you can see, it no longer says HCFA 1500 form, but it does say Prepare HCFA with the red shield icon to the left of it. However, before generating a HCFA, users will want to make sure that the provider is set on the sale and that the patient has a third-party payer in their third-party payers tab. If not, users will see this error message letting you know that one of two or both parameters have not been met. Now let's go back to our patient here and we can go ahead and prepare a HCFA for them. Once this option is chosen, this box is going to appear. Users are going to see the provider listed along with their NPI and their EIN if they are listed within the setup menu. Also, the patient's third-party payers are going to pull in from the patient's third-party tab. The payer ID is also going to generate along with the insured person's information. Users can also uncheck any third-party payer that is not needed for this claim. The only third-party payers that are not going to pull into this screen is if they are labeled as managed care. We will be touching on this a bit more later on in our webinar. ICD codes right down here are going to be pulled in from the patient's audiology tab. If a user forgot to add those in, no worries. Those can be added by clicking on this button here. For this example, I will be adding on 2 different ICD codes to display our diagnosis pointer field. So we'll just go ahead and click on 2 random ones here. As you can see in our diagnosis pointer field, we do have 2 warning icons letting us know that there is missing information. And if you need to, you can go ahead and hover over this icon to let you know what is missing. We need to point each of these line items to a specific or to multiple ICD codes. For this example, I'll put this one as A and I will put this one as B. If you would like to switch your ICD code order, you can just click and drag your ICD code. Now, when I do that, you will notice down here in your diagnosis pointer field that the field automatically changes with that change. On our boxes to the left of the diagnosis pointer, we do have our modifiers that we can click on and just select. And then we have our CPT codes here. If you have a CPT code that is missing, you can go ahead and click into that field and enter in that CPT code. We also have this box up at the top to display monaural or binaural hearing aid codes. When you will notice that when you click on that, the CPT code does change with that as well. Looks like everything we have put in is entered in correctly, so we can go ahead and now generate our HCFA. Once the HCFA has been generated here, users can review everything and still be able to click into any field that they need to make adjustments or changes. We can scroll down here, and as you can see in box 32A and 33A, those Hicka field overrides have been entered in. All right, so the last thing we are going to be covering today in this webinar is managed care. Users can now tag specific third-party payers as managed care companies, track orders and hearing aids as managed care, and get managed care business insights without impacting your average selling price and other key performance indicators. To start tracking managed care in version 4.5, users are going to need to go to your setup menu and to third-party payers. Once here, either you can create a new third-party payer or you can change one of your current third-party payers as a managed care company by selecting the managed care revenue group. By selecting this revenue group, the managed care checkbox is going to auto-select. This checkbox is going to set all hearing aid prices to $0 on an order as long as that third-party payer is on the patient's file. Managed care will also mark as pays full amount. This will allocate the sale to the third party in the cost allocation section. To demonstrate this, we're going to go up here to our patient Chandler Bling just to go ahead and create a sale for him. We'll start with our order here. And as you can see, we do have True Hearing as a third-party payer selected, and I do have this as a managed care company in my system. Another way to verify this is you can see that all of the hearing aids are set to a $0 price. So we will go ahead and select some hearing aids here. We'll set our left hearing aid, and we're going to set the right hearing aid. And we'll go ahead and click next, and click next again. Now we'll go ahead and put in a True Hearing fitting fee. Double click on that, and next. Once you're in our allocate cost screen, you will see down at the bottom in the cost allocation section that True Hearing has the entire cost allocated to them. If you do try and change this, it's not going to let you change it. However, you are able to change by manually clicking on the checkbox next to automatically allocate cost. With that unchecked, you are able to switch the cost allocation. If you'd like to revert back, just go ahead and click on that checkbox again up at the top to have that cost allocated right back to the True Hearing. We'll go ahead and save our order. And for our example today, we're just going to skip this step. All right. Once we're in our patient hearing aid tab, you're going to see that each hearing aid that we just ordered is now labeled with a managed care label indicating which managed care this patient currently has. This label is going to remain after it has been received and delivered. Now, when users are ready to receive their hearing aids, there's no need to receive items with bill as there is no cost associated with these particular units. If a patient recently had or previously had devices added for managed care devices, you are now able to right-click on the added device and link or unlink them from managed care. This will only work as long as the patient does have the managed care in their third-party payers tab. Users are also now going to be able to track managed care plans expiration dates. Depending on whether or not your managed care plans contract for a duration of time or a specified number of visits, these are the options to track. For duration of time, you are going to right-click on the patient's hearing aid, and you are going to select Edit Details. Now down at the bottom, we do have this service plan option. Once you click on this, you can select your managed care service plan. Then you will need to enter in the plan expiration date. and select OK. This now alerts you that this hearing aid has a service contract with a true or service plan with True Hearing. This is also going to make it easy to track these service plans later when using a marketing campaign. We will discuss this in just a bit. The next option is for specified number of visits. We're going to our patient here, Emily Blunt, and as you can see in her sticky note, which can be found using the patient drop-down and edit note, that we are able to track her visits using this sticky note option. With our managed care enhancements, we also have added some filters and reports for managed care orders and hearing aids. The first filter can be found within our Orders Aid tab here. Up at the top, we do have this checkbox to show managed care only. As you can see, once we click on that, it does filter out anything that is not managed care. Our next filter that we will be discussing is in our marketing campaign section here. Now, for our example in our webinar today, I already created these campaigns, so we'll go ahead and click on this. When we're in our selection criteria, up at the top, you can see that our primary filter has been added for managed care hearing aids. Once you select this filter, you are asked which managed care is this in, and when you click on the value, it will show you all of your managed care companies. And then it's going to ask you the purchase date here. So now when we execute, we do have a couple patients here that fit these parameters. As I mentioned before as well, service plans can also be tracked using a marketing campaign. So I have this campaign already set up, and we can go back to our selection criteria up at the top here. Our primary filter is set to service plans, and we can search by service plan and when the service plan is going to expire. Once we hit execute, it will pull in all of our patients that fit that parameter. All right, so the last thing we will be discussing today is our reports. So users are now going to be able to use the revenue group report, which is awesome as a report, as this report breaks down invoices, returns, write-offs, and credits by revenue group. Just to show you an example here, we'll go ahead and set a date. And you can see we have our managed care revenue group selected and it is at the very top here. And we can see our total amounts as well. There's also going to be the third-party payer transaction report. This is going to allow users to filter by third-party payers and transaction types. This report is going to be useful if you're needing to find all of your third-party payments. Oops, exit out of that. Now, the last report we have is it's a new report called Managed Care Transactions Excel Only. This report is very similar to our sales by income report and will show you sales and returns only for managed care specific orders. As I said before, this is an Excel only. So when you click on this, this is going to automatically save directly to your computer. However, if you uncheck this, and we're just going ahead and put in a parameter, this is what your report will look like within Blueprint. So for viewing purposes, it might be better to just download this and view it into Excel. All right, if we have no further questions, if you guys do end up having questions, please feel free to send in a support ticket or give our support line a call. We are always happy to help. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.